Hi there, I'm Nicole with Pet Care by Nicole, and I want to just take a few minutes to answer the most commonly asked questions that I get about my services. All these questions are written below, but sometimes it's easier to listen to this video, so thank you for listening along. So the very first question that I get asked all the time, either when someone sends me that first email, Facebook message, or they call me, they ask if I'm watching pets in their home. And yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. That is the premise of my business, is taking care of your animals in your home. Now, obviously, I understand that you have other options. Boarding, you can let your animals go with maybe a neighbor or a family member. Maybe this is something you've done in the past. Or you can also use some of those bigger name pet sitting services that are run by apps. But sometimes these options for your pet can be very stressful. So we want to have an option for you where your pets can be where they're most comfortable and they're most familiar. In your home, it's their environment. They know the scents, they know the smells, and they probably have an established routine that by my pet sitting inside your home, then I can keep up with that routine. Also, we have to realize that sometimes our animals just don't want to be with other animals, and that's okay. And they're a homebody, and so we also let them stay in their home where they're the most comfortable and happy. I often will get asked if I take pets into my home, and that is something that I do not do. I don't do any boarding in my home. It is only pet sitting in your home. Now, I will be asked about pets that are maybe a little bit more independent. They don't necessarily need someone sleeping there at night. They've got their own routine. They retreat to a room by themselves. They don't need someone sleeping in the bed with them, like some, love bug animals that we have out there. But they ask if I have an option for that, and I do. I have where I just do day visits and I don't sleep over. So an example of what that would look like would be, say you're just going away for the weekend and you're going to be out of the house about midday Friday and you're going to return Sunday night for dinner. So what I would do is, after you've left, probably around midday, is I would plan to be there around dinner time. And this is when I would do your animals feeding. I would just give them lots of love and cuddle and attention. And I would give them plenty of exercise for that evening to make sure that they're going to sleep soundly through the night. Because then I'm returning the next morning to do it all over again. I'm going to feed them. I'm going to take them for a nice walk. We're going to, make sure nothing got into in the middle of the night. Sometimes, there's, I'll find a food wrapper on the floor or something because someone got a little mischievous. So, and if there's any cleanup, which sometimes there is, sometimes it's always a little accident, and I'll take care of that as well when I'm there in the morning. And then my plan is that I'm back in the evening to start all over again. And I would do this through Sunday morning, anticipating your arrival. Now, some dogs do need that extra midday walk and potty break, and I can do that as well. So there'd be a quick visit that'd be in the middle of the afternoon. That's just a slight additional charge. I'm asked about what areas I cover. So understanding that Sarasota and Bradenton are pretty broad areas, my radius that I stick to in my services is I go as far north as Route 64. I go as far south as Clark Road, and sometimes spilling into that Palmer Ranch area. I'm thinking, if you know where Costco is, about there. That's about as far south as I go. As you go all the way out west to the beaches, and then I go as far east as the end of Lakewood Ranch. So that's pretty much covers the entire radius that I cover. Of course, I get asked about my rates, and my rates are all published on my website, so you can easily just follow the link that's below and go to my page where my rates are posted. And I do this because people want to budget and they want to plan for their vacations. They want to have an idea of what pet services may be going to cost them. And I don't also want there to be any hidden surprises. I will plan out an estimate prior to your trip, and then I'll also give you a summary of what that cost was. But for the most part, you can go right to my website, you can see what my services are, you can see a description of what those services are, and you can anticipate and budget what that trip would cost you in the future. people will hear mentioned about meet and greets and they'll ask me, what is a meet and greet? Or people will request a meet and greet, which is great because that is something that I do and I'm very adamant about it, is the first step to becoming a client with Pet Care by Nicole. So what the meet and greet is, it's what I call the interview. That is where I will come into your home, come into your environment, and I get to meet your animal. Now, hopefully you're going to feel very comfortable with my services and you're going to feel comfortable with me as a person, and your animal's going to pick up on those cues. So if you're comfortable, they're comfortable. If you're nervous, they're also going to be nervous. These are animals. We all know they've got these like cute human characteristics that we pick up on, and that's why we have them as our family member. But at the end of the day, they are still an animal. They have their animal instincts, and so I honor that opportunity to see how they will react when I come into the home. Now, because of this, I do not take a last minute booking from a brand new client. I often will get a message or a phone call saying, hey, I found you on Facebook. I'm leaving tomorrow. Can you come sit for my dog? And I don't take those sittings. So I'm very adamant about the fact that I do this meet and greet because it is not safe in my mind to walk into a home with an animal that I have not met. When you're not there, the animal may choose to protect their home, and so they may not be so accepting of me walking through the door. So I have this policy is also, it's a safety precaution for myself. Not to mention it could completely stress out your animal and it'll just not be a good visit for either of us. So the first step is the meet and greet. And I always encourage people that if you have found me and you're like, well, I don't have a trip coming up, but we're thinking about planning something in June or August, I say, let's do the meet and greet, get it out of the way, because at that point, that is when you've become a client. There's a two-page form that I also have you fill out on all the important information that I'm going to need for your pet. And once that's done, it's done. Then you can call me up and be like, hey, we got an invite to go to Orlando for the weekend. You know, can you sit for our dog? I know it's last minute. And then at that point, I've done the meet and greet. And I'm like, sure, let's move forward with that. When I'm sitting for your dogs, I get asked a lot about my dog walking policy. So some people are like, I don't really need a dog sitter, but I just need someone for those days that I just want to get away. You know, maybe you're going to run up to Tampa, you're going to be at Busch Gardens for the day, and it's going to be a long stretch for your animal to be alone. Absolutely, we do those dog walking sessions. And when we're pet sitting, we're also walking your dog. Some people have backyards and it's great. We can just go out there, we can toss a ball around, get a lot of energy burned off that way. But for the most part, when I'm caring for your dogs, we're going on dog walks. And so a couple of things that I abide to when I'm doing these dog walks. I only walk dogs solo. So I'm not walking, if you may have two dogs in your household, I'm walking them by themselves. The reason for this is that I want to make sure that when I'm walking your animal, mind you, I'm not the owner and I'm probably not the alpha yet in their mind. I soon become the alpha after I've been pet sitting for them often enough. They know that I'm the one in charge. But initially, I want to make sure that I have both hands available on that leash in case anything happens, in case your dog decides to use all their strength and they're going to go run after a squirrel. If I've got two dogs, that's, you know, a little less control that I have. So it's all about making sure that your animal is safe when they're with me. Also, too, if there's an encounter with another dog that's not so friendly, I want to make sure that I can quickly handle that one dog versus having now worry about two dogs. So with that, when I'm walking the dogs and we do encounter another dog, my policy is that I do not let your dog be meeting with another dog. And it's not to insult someone else. It's not to say that your dog's not friendly. But again, I'm trying to make sure that your dog is always protected. And so what I do is when I see people is I'll say, hi, I'm the pet sitter. I'm not the owner. We're not going to do any greetings. I'm sure your dog is lovely, ours as well, but I just want to make sure both dogs are safe. So we're just going to keep walking and just wave from across the street if that's okay with you. And most people are like, oh, that's great, thanks, you know, wonderful. Same goes if your community has a dog park. I will be the only one in that dog park. So if another dog is coming in, I might say to them, hey, I'm the pet sitter. These are not my dogs. I'm just burning off a few more minutes of energy. Do you mind giving us a minute? and then we'll be out of the park and the park will be all yours. And most people are like, yes, that's great, because we'll find that sometimes that dog with this other person, they know that their dog isn't a little bit friendly, and they want to keep a little bit distance too. So it just kind of makes things easy for everybody. When people are looking at my site, they notice that I talk a lot about sick, senior, and special needs dogs. Now, this is not something that I'm exclusive to. If you have a healthy puppy, you've got a pack of healthy 3, 4, 5-year-old dogs, I take those as well. And cats. In addition to dogs and cats, I'm also taking care of sometimes birds, sometimes fish. You might have a small rodent in your family. Maybe you have a son or daughter that likes to have guinea pigs or gerbils. I can take care of those as well when I'm there watching your dog or your cat. But the reason I talk about special needs, senior, and sick is because from my personal experience, having had an animal that was sick and paralyzed, I know exactly how hard it is to find someone that will help you. I also know how taxing it can be on your own energy level and morale when you are the caregiver of an animal that is in this condition. So based on the experience that I've had with not only my own pet, but with others, I am able to come in and help you with an animal that may take a series of medications, whether it's pills, it might be something, syringe like insulin. If you have an animal that is paralyzed and they're having a perfectly happy life, just their 2 back legs don't work, I can express an animal in a situation like that. And sometimes we get dogs that as they get older, things start happening. Oftentimes we have our older pets will lose their vision, they might lose their hearing because it's just how things are going for them. So we can adapt to creating that environment for them and making sure that they have that routine that makes them feel safe and comfortable in their own environment. So that's why I talk about sick and senior and special needs, because I know how hard it is to find someone, especially if you maybe have an animal that just came out of a surgery of sorts. Maybe they've had their leg amputated and there's medicine and there's bandages. That's all stuff that I can happily take care of and let you have that moment to get away and get the rest that you need as the caretaker. So I welcome those, but I am not exclusive to those, but that is something that is my specialty. And it's very close to my heart and something that I'm very passionate about. When you've decided that you are interested in using my services, questions I will be asked are things about references and insurance. I am insured and bonded, and I do proof of that. So if that's something that you request to see, I'm more than happy to provide that for you. And as far as references, I have plenty of references. The first place you can start is by going to my Facebook page, where people have, they've given their references and recommendations there. But I also do have a very long list of references that are names and numbers in this area that I'm more than happy to supply to you so that you can make those phone calls before you make a decision about me. I get asked about bringing people in and out of homes. Sometimes I hear some very interesting stories about what people have experienced from the dog sitters in the past. And the reality is that this is my business, and I'm also very respectful of your home and your privacy. So I am not bringing any of my friends into your home. It is not my home, it is yours. The only person that is going to be entering your home and that you should know about is I do have a partner in this business who is my mother. Her name is Debbie, and she is the only person that would be coming into your home, and that is either with me for a shadowing. If she's not come with me on the meet and greet, chances are I will do my own meet and greet with her with your pets. And so basically this is an opportunity where I will go over that this is their walking schedule, here's their feeding schedule. She gets an idea of who they are, their personalities, their nuances, whatnot, so that when we need to, and I can't be with two families at once, this is where my mother steps in. And so when we have our schedule, we do split it up amongst the two of us to make sure that your dogs are getting ample attention. I'd rather they get an hour of our time versus getting only 25 minutes of my time because I need to go to the next one, to the next one, and the next one. So she's the only person that's going to be in your home. And so, and she is the other partner to this business. That pretty much sums up the most commonly asked questions. But if you have more, I welcome you to call me. My number is listed below. You can email me. That information is listed below as well. And we'll go over everything in our meet and greet. So if you've got questions, you can hold them till then as well. Otherwise, I look forward to hearing from you, and thank you for choosing Pet Care by Nicole.